Welcome back to JR Oil Paintings 101. Now, I'll have to apologize for the other videos. I was told that sometimes the sound wasn't very well. So I got a microphone now, so hopefully that'll cure that problem. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we got here. I got my 20 by 24 stretch canvas. As you can see, it's a black canvas, so we painted it with a black gesso at first. And let that black gesso dry completely. And then took some liquid clear, coated the whole thing with a very thin coat of liquid clear. The liquid clear just makes it slick. And then on top of the liquid clear, I've got a mixture of Prussian blue and black, very little black. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to paint a winter's night, kind of a winter scene in the dark. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Um, we're going to put a little moon in the up here in the sky somewhere, and I'll show you. As soon as I find my there's my little brush. We're going to take our number 3 fan brush. It's a little one. And we're going to just, we're working with a very limited palette today. I'm just using Prussian blue, phthalo blue, black, a little bit of alizarin crimson, and of course titanium white. So first you need your glow up there where your moon's going to be. And I got a little bit of a glare going here. How's that? Is that going to be too light? Adjust my light here just a little bit where you can see without getting glared. Oh, well, we're just going to do it. We're going to wing it. Okay. So, where do you want your moon? Where do I want my moon? I don't want it dead center of this painting because if you put the moon right here like it's coming up, it's going to look a little odd. So just off center. Depends on how high you want it, what your foreground is. But take your little fan brush and just back and forth. Put a little bright spot where that moon eventually is going to be. And just keep working out. Just back and forth strokes. And the further away from that you get, the darker it's going to get. That's what you want. Because the moonlight will eventually dissipate. Don't bring that dirty brush right back here in the center, because you'll lose your bright glow a little bit. Unless it's too bright. Then you go ahead and bring it in there. But we're going to blend all this out here in just a little bit. You'll see how we go here. Now it's a little dark right there. It's hard to see what I'm doing, but it'll start going here in just a little bit. Or you can see, I hope, my lighting. I haven't got my lighting guy. I need to get my lighting guy back over here. That would be me. I'm just a one guy crew here. Now, if you want this brighter, just go back and clean your brush, get all that extra paint off of it, and get back in your titanium white. Start there first. I don't want it too bright because this is a night scene. So we're just going to add just a little bit of more of the white, but it's a little darker than I want up here. And once I blend this out, it's going to it'll get darker. We're just going to add just a little bit more white here and there. There we go, about like that. And we'll take our big old 2-inch brush. This little feller, isn't he cute? He's small. Anyway, I'm gonna start right here in the middle, and just very lightly, back and forth, going the same way you put it on there. Blend out. Don't put that dirty old brush right back in that clean white area, the bright area. We're gonna darken it up. Like I say, if it's too bright the way you want it, the way it is, go ahead and put it back in there. All you have to do is keep blending it till it's as soft as you want. Eventually, that would get darker and darker. You'll pick up that blue underneath, and just keep getting darker and darker. And try not to bring that dirty brush back in there. Just clean your brush and keep blending until it's the desired, like I said, until it's the desired lightness or brightness as you want. I'm gonna, like I said before, I don't bore you with a lot of washing my brush stuff here, so we just got another brush, another 2-inch brush. I'll just blend it out just a little bit more in the center here. I'm just going to blend this out. While I'm blending this out, I like to talk about some of the brushes that I use. I use this 2-inch brush. I use a 1-inch brush, oval brush, a couple of different size fan brushes, a number 3 like I showed you a while ago, and a number 6, which is a little bit bigger. There's a couple of different size round brushes that I also use, half size. If you've seen any of these videos I've posted, you'll know which one these are. This is the half size round brush. The full size round brush, excuse my head here, is this big one. It's about just about twice the size of this before. I used a little more to do the bigger one. It's easier to control. And then you got your oval brush here, like that one right there. It does beautiful trees and bushes. And then your little old script liner brush right there. He does some finer detail work. And then you got your 2 palette knives. You got your big one, and you got your smaller one. And that's about all the equipment I use besides the palette here. I mean, besides the palette and the easel. If you're just starting out here, you need an easel that will hold your canvas good and firm, because we do a lot of tapping and stuff on this in this technique. It is a wet on wet technique, so it takes a bit of a rapid tap motion in here, and so you need something to really hold that canvas in place. Now, we're going to, like I said earlier, we're going to put in a moon right in here. There's a couple different ways you can do this. You can get you a filbert brush and just paint you a moon on there. You can use your finger and put your little moon on here. I got a little foam brush here that's nice and round, about like that. Yeah, it's a throwaway. Just dip it in your titanium white, not like that, and just give it a twist. And there you go, your moon. The reason I gave it a little twist is, you know how the moon has those little light and dark areas in it. So if you'll take your 2-inch brush, get some of that paint off of it. Get you a cleaner, drier brush, and very gently just blend that together. If you get a little bit of white elsewhere, just blend it. Go back and forth. Then you have you a nice little moon here. Right up there and glows in the sky. Now then, I debated all day about whether or not to put clouds in this thing, and I do believe I'm going to put a cloud or 2 in here, just because I want to. You know what I mean? So we're going to put in a couple of little clouds. I'm going to use my big brush, or my big fan brush, number 6. And my number 3 is dirty. And I don't want to clean it. Add just a little bit, and I mean a very little bit, of black to your titanium white. I'm just looking for a nice gray color with a little bit of Prussian blue in there. Give it, excuse my dogs, they're annoying. Somebody's mowing their grass outside, and they fear they have to bark at him from time to time, so I hope y'all don't hear that too much today. But, so you got to pick out where you want your cloud. Now, if you're going to have cloud real close to the moon, it's going to be a little brighter. Just remember that. You can always add highlights to these clouds a little bit later. So we're going to put a nice one right here and just kind of tap it in there just a little bit, or give it a little roundy rounds. Just a little round twirling stroke, and get you whatever kind of cloud shape you think would look good right there. I think this is going to start doing what I want it to do here in just a minute. And tap it just a little bit closer to that moon there. And we'll get a little brighter color in there for that, closer to the moon here in just a minute. We'll put a little highlight on him right there. And it's going to be darker back here, further away from that moon right over there. So that'll be the first part of our little cloud. Might have to wash the brush because I got all my 2-inch brush is dirty already. Well, we'll just use a 1-inch brush. You can do that too. Take your little brush, and just with the corner of that brush is all you're going to touch on that cloud. And you're just going to give some little circular motions here. We're going to work that cloud up to a frenzy here. Just flip it around. Just blending it around. Just get the color dancing along in that cloud just a little bit. We'll fluff it up here just a minute. And it'll start really looking like a cloud. Now here's where you got to be real careful. You're going to do a very light motion here and try not to touch your moon if you like your moon the way it is. So we're just going to just kind of fluff it up just a little bit. And then very gently, you're just going to touch the paint on the canvas. Try not to touch the canvas itself, just the paint. And there we go. We got a nice little cloud. Now, if you want other clouds, which you can't really see in my video there, I got a little glare over there for some reason. I even got the light turned off. So, and if you want another cloud, just make it a little bit darker. I think I'm going to leave just that one single cloud because I think I'm going to have a big tree over here anyway. So it's going to cover a bunch of this. So, like I say, we're going to have, I was also wondering if I should put a mountain in here or not. And I believe we might just have a mountain. I like painting mountains. They're one of my favorite things to paint. You'll find that out if you just keep watching my videos. You'll notice I paint a lot of mountains. They're fun to paint. So with it, mix up a little bit of mountain color here, both blues, black, and some crimson. We're gonna have kind of a purplish moon here. Now crimson's a light, a very weak color. The blues will overpower it. So if you want a violet color, then use more crimson than blue. You can make it on the red side or the blue side. Just depends on how much of which color you put in. Loosely mix it so you'll get a nice variety of colors in your mountain, and then just decide where you're going to put your mountain. I don't want to cover up my moon, and I really will just put a little bit right over here. Like I said, I think there's going to be some big trees over here. But this is going to be a very far off mountain, so we're not going to do a lot of detail here, just a little bit. And then we'll just give it a little bit, scrape the excess off. We're just looking for this top edge to be nice and firm, about like that. And then a little doohickeys over here. Now, I don't know if you can see this in the video or not, but you will here in just a minute once I start putting some highlights and lowlights in here. Just back and forth it. Pardon my arm, I'm reaching for my paper towels there. Clean the old knife off with. Now then, we'll take our 1-inch brush. You could do a 2-inch brush, 1-inch brush even better. Now we're going to blend this out. Try not to disturb that top edge. That's where your mountain, you want it to be nice and crisp up there. And that you're going to see very much of it. You might see a little bit of it about what's happening here. But we will, like I say, when I put some highlights and lowlights on here, you'll see it better. Not going too crazy with the mountain today because he's just going to be a background shape here. A little bit of detail here and there on him, but not much. He's going to be kind of just a shape here. Just try not to disturb that clean line up top here. That's what you're looking for. Something about like that. That's what I'm looking for. Now this is if you're painting along with me, you can do any size mountain you want, anything you want to do. That's all. It's all good. It's whatever you want your painting to look like. That's what it's going to look like. I'm just showing you how I do things. This is how I do things. So we're going to take just a little bit of titanium white on our knife. Just get that little roll of paint right out there on the edge there. That's what you're painting with. and then very, very lightly, a very gentle touch. You're gonna, I just hold it two two fingers, one on each side, and then one just to kind of steady the back. Don't put your finger on your blade. That'll put too much pressure on your blade, and your paint won't act right when you're trying to put it up here. So we're just going just a very gentle touch, and just let that paint break a bit. By breaking, I mean leave all that color outside of it. You want that bleeding through. You want that to break. You want those little holes in the paint. That's what makes it look uh, more mountainous and more like a mountain than just icing on a cake. I've done icing on a cake and a mountain. It just don't quite look right. You know what I'm laying there? Yeah, I thought you did. Yeah. And like I've said before, if this is your first time painting, don't get too frustrated doing this, because it's like anything else. It takes practice. Shoot, my first mountains, you couldn't tell they were mountains. I couldn't even tell what I was painting after I got finished with it. I've got something back there. One of these videos, I'll show one of them. One of my first paintings. I don't think I have the first one anymore. I think I probably painted over it one day. But I do have some that are. Anyway, I'll bring them out one of these days. Now this right here bugs me. I don't like to keep them straight like that. So I just add a little bit over here to the side over here. That way the peak comes out over here. We'll just add a little bit more over there. Yeah. I say we're not going to have a lot of color here, or not a lot of detail, just a little bit. I think I'm getting a little more detail than I thought I was going to at first. We're going to put a little bit right there, because he's going to be far back off that. So I'm going to switch to my smaller knife here for the low lights. Now for low light color, we're going to just take some blue and white. Either blue. I would prefer. I would probably suggest using phthalo blue, just because you got a lot of Prussian blue already on here. So if you just take a touch of phthalo blue and white, you want kind of, since this is a night scene, you want it a little darker than maybe normal, than what you'd do on a daytime scene. Even though this is a low light, you just want a little lower light in the night than you would during the day. So I do want to take a little bit of time to say thank you for everybody that has viewed my previous videos, and also the ones that have subscribed. I appreciate y'all bunches. If you hadn't subscribed, think about it. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just pushing a button. Give it a shot. Anyway, we're going to put some low lights here, just like same way, just very little pressure. Very, very small pressure. Let that paint break through there. Shoot, I've dropped my knife. I've putting such little pressure on there before. I try to go about the same angle, opposite angle as you did with your highlights for your low lights here. Because very, very seldom is one side of the mountain slope, the other one straight down. I guess it has happened in the past, but you want to, kind of watch that a little bit, This is your painting. Yeah. You can do whatever you want with it. You want a fantasy painting where your mountains are lopsided? Go for it if that's what you want to do. I'm just showing you a little bit of a technique here that I learned many years ago and still learning. I mean, anybody can paint. It just takes a little bit of instruction and a whole bunch of practice. Shoot, I'm still practicing. Okay, there we got a nice little mountain. So we're going to do a little bit of mist on the base of this mountain, and that's just going to take a, should have a clean brush, but not have to be too clean. And we're just going to tap. Well, we're going to need cleaner than that. Take your clean brush, just tap the same direction and where you put your highlights. So if your highlight is going up, go up like that. If your highlight's going down, then by all means, if it's going this way, tap just a little bit. This will give it just an illusion of some mist down here. And then we'll just gently lift up just a little bit, take some of that tap marks out of that. There we go, something like that. Now we got a nice little mountain there. And you can actually see it on the screen too. All right. My glare is more up here than it is on the mountain. That's good. All right. Now we need to start moving forward just a little bit. So we're going to put some little foothills in here. And there's several different ways you can do your foothills. You can have like evergreen trees, which I'm going to have on this one. Because it's just, to me, this is kind of an Alaska type scene where you'll have a lot of those evergreens and just have all kinds of fun stuff here. So now remember, in the landscape, your far off stuff should be a little lighter in color than the stuff in front. So if we put some foothills here, it need to be lighter if we're going than the next batch of foothills. So let me mix up just a little bit of color over here. And because we're just going to use the mountain color that we use, but we're going to put a little white into it. Now, just to lighten it up just a bit. A little bit more than that. There we go, that's better. And you don't want to, this can be mixed really well or just haphazardly mixed. I just kind of loosely mix this. The only time I really mix something super good is if I'm doing a whole different color. Like if I go phthalo, not phthalo, alizarin crimson and sap green, it makes a very nice brown. You got to mix it real well. Now we're going to number 3 fan brush here and just load it full of paint. Yeah, it's nice paint. And we'll go up here, and then you're just gonna make a stroke about like that. Now don't make all your evergreens the same height. It'll look like a picket fence. So we're just gonna see if it'll show up here. We might have to lighten that up just a little bit more. Yeah, we may have to just lighten that up just a little bit more. We're gonna brighten that up just a little bit more because I can't even see it when I'm doing it. So we'll just add just a little bit more white. There will be some snow and stuff in here. I like painting winter scenes. Snow can be difficult, but with this technique, I find it's not as difficult as some other techniques. So let me just get more white on the brush here. There we go. There's a lot of paint on there. Now I know you're probably not going to see this. Until it comes in front of the mountain here. But you're just tapping down. Just pulling that brush down. Like that. Everything. You may not be able to see this. You can see some. Can't make too much detail out though, which is fine. We'll get some detail shortly. Like we'll just have that fade out to nothing right about there. About like that. Now take that same brush that we just tippy tapped on the bottom of the mountain, and we're going to tip tap just like that here. You want that illusion of mist on the bottom of it. Plus, that mist will separate for the next the next thing. So if you have that mist, it kind of separates and lets everything be seen. And then just very lightly lift up, not like that, not like that. Now then, on this side over here, we'll add just a little bit more of that dark color to our lighter and brighter. And then we'll start over here, because look at that, I think we're going to have a lot of trees over here, big trees. So just pull down. I like that. And we're going to go just a little bit further here. We're just going to put these, we'll cross in front of these over here and around the mountain here just a little bit. Kind of blend into this big old mountain a little bit. But you see how it just kind of pulls in front of that. Not really, but it will in a minute. Same way, just tap a little bit of, up a little on the back side of this here. And then just very gently, just lift up. That brings them evergreens to a point. I know you probably can't see too much. I can see a little bit of it. Okay. Right now we got a pretty good little scene going here, don't we? But we're going to have to wash a brush because all my brushes are getting dirty. And I'm going to have to wash a brush. So I'm going to beg your pardon here for just a minute while I beat the hell out of a brush. Let's see, let's go with, we're going to do that one. So we're going to just paint it. I do beat the hell out of my brushes when to dry them off. But I don't show that. That was more of a Bob Ross thing. And I did learn from watching his videos. So I don't want to sound too much like old Mr. Ross, but I do beat the crap out of my brushes on the easel, and then just dry them off on a pair of blue jeans. And then when it's good and clean and dry, got to make sure these are good and dry when you're doing these, because that liquid clear we put on first and paint thinner has a real violent reaction when they meet. Start getting little dots and stuff in there. You can actually make it look like a watercolor, and that's fine if that's what you're looking for. But in this particular painting, that ain't what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna clean off just a little bit, and we're gonna go just in plain titanium white. We're gonna put a little bit of snow here on our right in front of our trees and stuff here. And we're just gonna put a lot of paint on the brush, and then decide where your first layer of snow is. I think we need some over here, and we're just gonna grab and pull. Let it get some of that. Let it get some of that color. We're gonna have. No, this is just. I know it's a little straight, but I'll pull up just a little bit on here, make it a little heel right there. I'll put a little bit of, get a little bit of that color underneath. That way it'll look like there's some shadow in your snow. Now I did that, stopped right here because this thing's going up. So there's a little hill right here. Now we're going to take that same brush, wipe just a little bit of that off because I want some pure white in here first. And run it back and forth, both sides. into titanium white. Just plain old titanium white, nothing added to it. Quite a bit of paint on the brush. Get both sides and just fill it full. And then we're going to come up here. There's going to be a little heel right here. And it's going to go right down in front of that one. Don't worry, we're going to put some trees and stuff to cover up some of this. So just grab a little bit of that color underneath there and let it start. There's your shadows and things here. Because you don't want bright white snow on a night scene. I mean, this looks brighter on camera than it actually does in person here. There's a little more blue underneath. You have to kind of take my word for that. Right now, the camera didn't show all the pretty stuff that's actually happening sometimes. So we're going to go back to our fan brush, number 3, and just mix it in to some really dark color. Just a mountain color, not been diluted. Just that nice dark mountain color. We're going to start putting in a few little trees here. I want a couple right back here before we start putting them on here. Just some that are just a little bit closer. So we're going to take, say about right here, and just take that corner of the brush and touch and go back and forth, adding a little bit of pressure as you go down. He's kind of a fat little tree, isn't he? That's okay. Sometimes they're fat and short and fat, and some of them are tall and skinny. Trees are in all kinds of shapes and sizes. We're going to put one right here that's going to go up just a little taller. Just make your little line, and you can go all the way down if you want. Just take the corner of that brush, touch it. That'll be your top 2 branches, or a few branches there. And then just back and forth it. All the way down. Another short fat tree. I guess I'm into short fat trees today. Most of mine look tall and skinny. These are short and fat. That's all right. Nothing wrong with that, is there? I'm going to have another short, little more big one. Let's go a little bigger. Right there. Let's see how this works. See if he goes skinnier or not. There we go. And we'll have a couple of little bushes here so he don't get all lonesome over here. And just kind of put some there, about like that. Now then, we're going to want to put just a little bit of highlight on these little fellers because they're going to have a little bit of snow on there. Excuse me, I'm mixing up my liquid white. Because doing this, you have to understand that you have to have a thinner paint to stick to a thick paint. And we got some thick paint up there already, so we're going to have to thin it out a little bit. And the way I do it a lot of times is with some liquid white. And those of you that have watched some of my previous videos know I spilled a whole container of liquid white on my floors one of these last trips, or one of these last videos, and it was a mess. Boy, was it a mess. That was. I would take that same brush, that 1-inch brush, I've had the snow on. No, we're not either. We're doing highlights. That's right. We're doing highlights. Taking our fan brush. Sometimes I forget what I'm doing. We're going to take our fan brush, dip it into the liquid white and the titanium white. Titanium, and this has just a little bit of phthalo blue mixed in with it as well. There was just a little bit on the brush. I'm going to leave that on there and just have a little bit of liquid white, titanium white, and little phthalo blue. We're going to add just a little bit of highlights to these because they're a little bit in the distance. So we're not going to put any trunks or anything on there. We're just going to put a little bit of highlights here. Now this is your light source. This is your light source right here. So this side of the tree is going to have a little bit more light on it than the back side. You got to figure out which one of these two trees are in the foreground, which one's in the background. Today, I think this big one's going to be in the foreground, so he's going to be in the background. And this little guy, he's going to be, all by himself. He's soaking up all the light. So we just kind of touch and just, he'll figure out how much snow he wants. And he'll take it. And what with this guy? He's just going to have a little bit. There we go, something like that. Now we're going to get just a little bit more paint. And we don't brush. And this guy's going to have a little bit more because he can be in front of this guy. So you're going to push him back just a little. Just by adding a little bit more highlights. About like that. There we have nice little bushes, or nice little trees rather. We're about to do the bushes. I got ahead of myself just a second. We're going to take this little round brush right, y'all. We got some bushes up there. Got to give them a little bit of highlight too. So we dip it into just a little bit of liquid white and tap it into that same phthalo blue and titanium white. The liquid white's there just to kind of thin it out just a bit. Just kind of think about a bush and just tap just a little bit on here and there. Leave some dark in between them. Don't cover up all your darkness here, because if you covered all your dark, you just have a big old white bush. And those of you that have watched some of my paintings, you know I like a big red bush sometimes in my paintings. Well, I'm not sure we're going to have one today. We'll just have to see. It might come up, you never know. But for that right there, that's what we're going to have for our bush. Now we take our snow brush and just into some titanium white. It's got a little blue on it already, so that's fine. Just load it full of titanium white. And now, see why we put the snow in the background? It'd be a booger to put it in now, wouldn't it? And we're going to cut the tail end of these bushes off and just let it do it. Just let it grab some of that color. You think there's some a bit of shadow there, and then you can just smooth it out as silky as you want that snow to look. If you want your snow to be a little rougher, just don't smooth it out quite as much. There we go. Something like that. Something like that. Now then, we've got a nice little start to some beautiful snow sceneries here, don't we? We got those. Now some of this, like I said, some of this stuff in the background back here, these trees, they kind of just blend in. You don't really see them too much, but when you're in person and you see them, when you're in person and see these paintings, you can see that a little more detail in them. So that's why I add them, just to show you how it works. So now, so we're gonna have a great big old tree over here somewhere, but we're not ready for him yet because I think he's gonna come all the way down over here. So we're gonna have a few more trees over here, maybe a bush or two, stuff like that. We're just gonna keep playing with it until we have it finished painting. You have to forgive me. I'm still suffering from allergies. We have pollen floating all over Texas here. Yeah, my allergies are all up in the air. Well, let's see. Where should we put another tree or two? Huh? Let's go over here, about right here, right under this, right under your moon here, my moon. I like my moon. I think he turned out pretty good. And just like these trees, we're just going to touch and go back and forth. Add a little bit of pressure as you go down. And you're going to bring him just to about right there. It pushed them back there just a little bit, didn't it? You bring it as you go forward, make them a little bit darker if you can. Change the flavor color just a little bit. We'll put some more highlights on him in a little bit. These are just kind of low lights. So we're going to add just a little bit more crimson to this little guy here. I just mix it on the brush. I know you can't see me mixing, but I don't have a cameraman, so I ain't going to take the camera back and forth. We're going to go way up here next to the moon just about. And that's where our next tree is going to be. He's going to go beep. There we go. Now you want these old hanging downs coming in, so you just keep pushing a little bit more pressure down here than you normally would. Then you get all them pretty little hanging downs. And try not to get way up here. When you put your little line, leave a little bit of that sticking out, because it'll be like the top of the trunk. A little bit more crimson in this. I like that. And now we're just going to play with it a little bit. I think they should have another little tree. Let's see what I'm going over here. So it's, yeah, I think we're going to have a small tree. I think little one right there. We're just going to do that. Just back and forth. Move the brush back and forth just a little bit. There we go. Just like that, we got a family of trees. Now then I see a nice little brush right here. We're going to take our other round brush, the half-size round brush, tap it into a little bit of that dark color. We're going to make a couple little bushes here. Right here. Just kind of down there. I'll put a little bush here, a little bush here. Big old bush right there. Yeah, when it comes up. About like that. And we'll take our other brush with all the snow on it for these bushes here. We're going to mix it in with just a little more liquid white and some of the titanium white with just a little bit of blue on it. Oh, not yet. Can't do that one yet. You got no snow on the trees. That comes first. He's getting ahead of myself. I like putting the snow on the bushes. They look so cool. I get a little ahead of myself sometimes. So I kind of stop and plan some stuff out every now and then. And do yourself a favor when you're up here painting real close to it. Just take a step back from it and get a different look, a little different perspective on your painting. Because when you're way up here like this, it's gonna look different than if you're way back here. So again, we got to try and see which one of these is in the foreground, which two are in the background. We had this big fella in the foreground first. So we're just gonna have this little guy here. We'll get him a little bit of snow on here. Just tippy tap it in there. I like that. Then we'll go up here and do this big guy. If you want a little bit more, a little brighter under here, he's right under the snow. I mean, right under the moon. In the snow, that's what I was trying to think of. Oh, just a little bit more liquid white. Get more, a little bit more paint on there. And then we'll just do the same thing with this little guy. Don't cover up everything with snow. It just looks like so much fun, doesn't it? But you need to leave some of that dark in there. If you don't have the dark, the light won't show up as much. So you got to do that. You got to have both to make it look right. A little more liquid white on the old brush and tap it into the titanium white. We got the big old round brush, or the little round brush. I don't like that big one. It's a little too hard to control. So you just touch. If you got enough paint on you, you got to have a lot of paint on here. You're just going to touch your basic bush shapes. And a bit back there. And leave a little dark in between them so you can see that there's more than just one bush. Yeah, I like that. And we'll come over here. Just about like that. You're just going to touch them in, touch that little bit of paint, and you're just tapping. You don't have to tap real hard. You got enough paint on your brush. It just takes little taps, just a light touch. Just think of what a bush would look like out here in the snow. And then tap him in. Now then, you got your bushes. It push those back. There's a little more color in here than there was over here. Now we're going to go back into our brush with just the titanium white. More or less. There's other colors it mixes with. You're picking color up over here. This one we're going to keep going the same way we were going just now, because that's the way we put it. Yeah, see? I'm going to switch it up in just a minute. Here. Don't go too nuts over here. Under here, you'll cut some of your bushes in half. And you just go back and forth with a little bit of titanium white on your brush. It gets dark or light as dark as or as light as you want it. And then just kind of blend it out until it's as smooth as you want. And like I say, if you don't want a smooth snow, you want it rather rough, just add it. You can add it with a knife, just graze it over like we did up here on the mountain. You could graze over that, and it'll be a real rough looking snow. I like it a little smoother. So now we're going to change it up just a little bit. We'll come back over here. There's more we're going to do over here. We're going to cover up some stuff over here. Just because. Just because I want to. I want to show you what's going on here. It says you got, we're going to darken our stuff up, our paint just a little bit. So we're going to do a lot more blue, Prussian blue. Prussian blue is really dark. And Prussian blue, black, alizarin crimson, all the dark colors. That's all we're using today, with the exception of titanium white, of course. It's our only white color, our lighter color. So now we're going to go into a bigger fan brush because we want a little bigger tree. You could do this with the number 3 fan brush. It was working just fine. It would continue to work just fine. But I'm going to make a little bigger tree here. And now that you see there's trees all over here, we're going to cover all of them up. I'm not sure. We're going to cover a couple of them up. Like this one right here. We're going to have a big tree right here in the middle of these. So some of our bush is going to be covered up for sure. And just tap. Back and forth, back and forth. And if it ain't sticking, add just a touch of paint thinner to it, but it should stick just fine. My alizarin crimson's a little thinner than the rest of them, so it's kind of thinning this out just enough. And just keep tapping. You're going to be using a lot more of your brush down towards the bottom. You're going to bend all your bristles up or down. You can bend them up if you'd like. It gives a different look. But I've already started with this downward stuff, so that's how we're going to stick with. And we got a big tree. Look at that sucker. He's a huge tree. But he's pushing these even further back, and these too. So we're going to come back around here. You'll see in just a little bit. We're going to go back and forth, back and forth, and forth and back with all this stuff. And you'll see all kinds of interesting things. At least I hope they're interesting to you. I think it's interesting. I think it's a lot of fun. And you can do this if you really want to. You can give it a shot, and I think you'll like it myself. I like painting. I like doing these videos for you too. I hope everybody's enjoying themselves just a little bit. I think the more I practice with this, the better I'll get at doing the videos. So hopefully, if you're not having a good time with them now, you'll stick with me for a little bit, and maybe we'll work through all of it together here. All right. And if I'd appreciate you if you click that button and subscribe to my channel here. Let's see, what are we gonna do here? Let's put some bushes in. We got bushes. I lost my knife. I lost my brush. There's the dark one right there. That gum. There. We're gonna tap into that dark color. This on our brush here. And you're probably not gonna be able to see this much. But we're gonna put some big bushes right here. And up in top here and up there. A little bit over here. Go over here just a little bit more. There we go. Now, we got our bushes set. Now we'll go into our, we'll have to have some more titanium white here in just a bit. Running out. Pile it back up sometimes, I tell you. Add just a little bit of liquid white to your paint. And we go in just same colors. Titanium white with just a little bit of phthalo blue and liquid white mixed in. Liquid white's there just to kind of lighten the mood up just a little bit, thin it out. Now we're going to put this little dude here. And then we'll go back to this guy, this big dude. He's a big, strong tree. But I think here in just a little bit, we're going to make a tree that makes that guy look tiny in comparison. I like big trees too. Big trees, it covers up a multitude of sins. If you don't like something in your painting, you don't want to scrape it off and start over, put a big tree in front of it. There we go. About like that. Now we'll go with our brush that has the bush color on it, the highlight for the bushes. Tap a little bit of that color in there. And then just like we did up here, and just tap. Think about what a bush would look like. Out here in the wild. Don't cover up all the dark. You cover up too much of the dark, that light won't look right. It'll look like just a big old glob of white paint. And that's not what we're going for. It's not right here, right now. We're not anyway. Now leave a little bit of the shadows in there. And we'll do the big one right there. Don't have a whole lot. He's kind of far back, a little bit further back. So we just add just a little bit of color on these up here. And we'll get a little brighter colors towards the front of these. something like that. And again, we take our brush with the for the snow. There, titanium white with a little bit of phthalo blue and black in there, or not black, blue and white. All right, there we go. We're going to take these and just come down with it. May not think it's going to look right just yet, but it will. Just going back and forth just a little bit so you get what you want. I know there's a lot of color still to be put on this here bush, or this here canvas. Yet. Oh, big empty spot right there. It looks a little strange right now, doesn't it? That's all right. We'll fill it up just a minute. I don't like this quite as dark right here. I want to lighten it up just a bit. All right. Now then, looking pretty good here. Got a lot of trees. So we're going to go with that big fan brush again. Load it full of color. We're going to have a lot of color on this brush. We're going to have a really big tree here. A couple of them, I think. And then we'll finish this little fella up. I have a big tree. I mean, it's going to make these little guys look a little bitty. Right here. About like that. That's what I think. Now then, I'm going to start way up here. And just tap. You're going all the way off that canvas over there. You big tree. And get a little bit more of that color there. And keep it tapping. Don't worry, I know you can't see that right there, but you will when we start putting some highlights on that big fella. And now then we'll just keep going until we get, to about right. Somewhere right in there. Now then, we still got all this over here. But I think we're going to put another little tree. Just a little one. Nothing that big. Just a good sized tree. Oh, let's put him right here. Let's put this little guy right here. Not quite as big as that other one. But almost. I mean, shoot, I started making him go all the way off the canvas up there. I didn't want to get that big. Gotta let him have room to grow, Like I say, if you don't like something in your painting, just cover it up or scrape it off, start again. That's what I like about oil paints. You have a lot of time to fix anything that you don't like about your painting. There we go. I think that's good right there. So we're going to take, I'm going to get me a little more titanium white. I did not put out enough this time. I usually put out way too much. This time I didn't put out enough. And if you have paint left over from your oil paint, after you paint and you got a pallet full of paint, don't worry about it. Get you some cling wrap, just some film, just some little plastic wrap, and cover your paint up, seal it around it, and it'll stay usable for several days. And if you're looking like it's going to be a week or two, put it in the freezer, wrap it up good, but label it that it's oil paint, and it'll stick. It'll stick around for a while. We're going to come up in front of these bushes with some different ones. And just kind of let them trail off over here just a little bit, like that, right there. And we'll put some shapes in here like that. I know it doesn't look like I'm doing much, but there is stuff there, and I'm sure you can kind of see it. Now we'll get our fan brush that had a highlight color on it, and we're going to go into that fresh titanium white with a little bit of liquid white. Liquid white's there just to thin it out. A little bit thinner though, I think. And it'll brighten that color, that titanium white up. Using an old dirty brush, so it's gonna liquid white will get it nice and bright. Again, figure which one's gonna be foreground, background. I think the big one's gonna be foreground, so we won't put as much highlight on this side of the tree as we would here, because your light's coming this way anyway. So here we go. We're just gonna go point, 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 point. And if it gets where it's not, where it's picking up more color than you'd like, just wipe your brush off, get it back into some fresh paint, and go at it again. And just tippy-tappy it around there. Now then, I'm going to do that other side of that one. And go. Now then. Get a little more liquid white, titanium white on the brush. And we'll get this big fella here. Get him a little bit of snow out there. He can't be without snow. He's been outside all the time. He's going to have some snow on him. That'll be a little bit less snow as you go down there. About like that. The upper branches will catch most of the snow. Now then, we got same way with our bushes here. Now we got a lot of bushes to put in this tree, and just because I want to, we're going to do a little something here that I didn't think I was going to do, but I'm going to, because that's a lot of bush. So we're going to have a little bit of red bush here. I like my red bushes. Everybody should have a nice red bush every once in a while. Don't you think? I think so too. So we're going to take a little bit of bright red and put a little liquid white into that bright red. And we're going to have an oval brush. He's going to even be different. Where do you think our big red bush should live? I think he should live right here, right here. There we go. Put another little one here, just kind of sparkling up just a little bit here. Oh, the big red bush ain't all by himself. As you know, if there's a big red bush, there's a little red bush somewhere around too, you know. Now then, we're going to take uh, our brush here that has the titanium white and liquid white on it. I will start over here. There's some little bitty, there we go. Like I say, don't cover up all that dark. Gotta have a little bit of dark there. We'll put a couple of little ones in front of this little red bush here. And then we'll just step down in front of him. And tap the side of him. Yeah, we just gotta have a nice. There's our big red bush in the middle of everything right there. I just like the big red bushes. What can I say? I have a little bit of that dark in there to show that there's a little bit of separation in between all your bushes here. And if you just have it all in there, just one, and you don't have any dark there to show, it's not going to look right, and you're not going to be happy. So just take it, and wherever you think there should be a bush there, just put him in. I think we should have it right there. There we go. Now we'll take, to finish this little fella up, we need some snow in front here. I have some nice bright white snow here. A little bit of liquid white in there just to thin it out. Just load that brush, both sides. And then decide where that snow lives and go just right through it. And I'll trail it off right around in here. About like that. And if you want a little brighter, just keep it going. And just pick up a little bit of that color underneath so we'll have shadows. A little bit of shadow under your bushes here. You don't want your snow too bright because this is a night scene. But there you go. And that is my rendition of A Winter's Night. I hope you enjoyed this. So let's just take my script liner brush here. Now you can go ahead and put a lot of detail in this and do some sticks and twigs and sticks. So we'll do that real quick just so I can, so you won't say, hey, where's all the sticks and twigs and everything? Get you a little thinner and a little bit of liquid white and whatever color you think it should be. If you think it should be white, a white stick, white sticks, white twigs, that kind of stuff, dip it in the white and the blue, just a little bit of blue, and quite a bit of thinner because there's a lot of paint on that there canvas right now. So we're going to do that right now. There we go. You want this looking about the consistency of ink. It'll start running on your palette. If you lift your palette up, it'll start running. That's how thin this is. Kind of twist your brush when you're going through it. Just twirl it a little bit. It'll get nice and sharp edge there. And then just wherever you think a twig should be or whatever, just put him in there. I'll just put a couple of twigs and sticks and such here. cut like that. Um, this will be on my website and probably another week. It takes a little while for them to dry, so I don't put them on the website right away. My website is jroilpaintings.com. Shoot on over there, take a gander at what I got up for sale. You might find something you like. If you do, shoot, give me a holler. We'll see if we can't cut a deal for you. Tell me you saw a painting on my YouTube channel. We might make a deal with you. Put a little back here too every once in a while. But if you hadn't already subscribed, please do so. I'd appreciate it. And drop me a comment or two down on below. Let me know how you liking this. I'm always open for pointers. If I'm not doing something you want to see or doing too much of something you don't want to see, and we'll take a little bit of phthalo blue and thinner. A little bit of white still on the brush. And we'll see if we can't sign this little puppy. Might have to sign it later because there's an awful lot of paint there. Now, you can sign yours in whatever color you like. I've chosen blue just because it's one of my favorite colors. So we'll just go JR. And I always put the date, or I have been. I went one year that I didn't put the year that I painted, and I can't remember what year that was. So I've always been putting the year from then on, so I'll remember what year this was painted. There we go, 2-6. So that is my rendition of A Winter's Night. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I will be back again later this week and drop another video for you. So, like I say, I hope you're enjoying what I've been putting out here. I enjoy doing them for you. So, give me a subscribe if you don't mind, and we will talk to you shortly. Goodbye.